Why don't we go ahead and get started? We have another pair of great papers. First off is going to be Bobby Chung. He's going to be presenting trade-offs of occupational licensing, real estate licensing in Illinois. So Bobby, if you could go ahead and load up your slides, we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you all hear me clearly? Great. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited. It has been a fantastic conference so far, and thanks Alicia and Ed for putting all the things together. Yeah, I mean, I know it's like lots of admin stuff to take care of, but I mean, thanks. I mean, it's a really great community here. And so this paper I have been working on since I am here. And then this is a pure program evaluation looking at real estate licensing in Illinois. So on the Google Drive, you find my older draft, and here I put some new results, so you may find something different. All right, so let's see how it goes. Okay. All right. So I guess all of you know that occupational licensing is very important. And then I guess I can skip the first point. For the second point about real estate agents, they are licensed everywhere in the United States. Their requirements differ by states. The names, the structure also differ by states. Some just name it brokers, associate brokers, salespersons. Some have all of them, some have just one or two of them. So it really depends on which state you are in. And why we want to license real estate agent, they or the regulators say that, okay, we want to protect consumer. Okay, protect consumers. This is the quality argument. But what exactly they want to protect or they want to avoid? So one of them is misconduct. So here is some news cutting, news report I found online about real estate agents, some bad behaviors from them. For example, there's an interesting story. For example, they may steal your money, they may steal your clothes. Some of them are involved in some fraud. Some of them just hide some information when you buy houses. Some may have wrong information, give you some wrong information, mislead you. So these are all the things that regulators in the real estate industry care about. And this is also the rationale behind the main thing today, which is a real estate licensing law change in Illinois back to 2012. So here is the news back in that time. It is saying that, okay, starting from 2012, May 1st, some of the real estate license agents may lose their license. And why? Because the state are going to upgrade the requirements, and all of the people have to meet the new requirements. Okay, and if you recall, Morris just like an hour ago to talk. So basically, I'm in here. All right. I really thanks Morris was sharing the slide, and I'm very glad that I'm doing something that the people cared about. So I'm in here. What happened is that Illinois increases the initial training requirements. Okay, and here are a couple of interesting features that are crucial to the research design and also the research idea. The first one involves increasing training hours, and most importantly, and surprisingly, they don't have a grandfathering clause, as opposed to many licensing policy in earlier days. And so no matter you are already in or you are newcomers, you have to fulfill the new requirements. So then you may expect some dynamics happening here. The second thing is that it is costly to some entry-level agents. there are a couple of costs that I think may be costly. It may involve like the monetary commitment, about $800. To some agents, it may be a small amount, but for some marginal agents, this may be a big deal. In terms of the training hours, it increased by more than double, by about a double. And also, in terms of the content of the training, they introduce a new element about instructor-based session. So you either have to go to the classroom or go to the webinar with a fixed schedule. So it creates extra inflexibility to some of the agents for sure. And the last point, the last feature is that it actually go in favor to my research design is that the timing is exogenous. So by statute, the law has to be revised every 10 years. So in terms of timing, I get kind of a quasi-random experimental setting here. Okay, so going back to the main research question I'm going to look at, I'm going to look at two main things. The first thing is the employment effect. The new thing that I want to add here is that I also want to look at both inflow and outflow as opposed to just look at the equilibrium number. The second thing I'm going to look at is quality, and I'm going to look at both input and output quality. So again, if you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt all things so I can answer. Okay, and so I saw that.
Bobby, Brad Larson has a question.
Yeah, I'm reading
Could
that.
other factors react to knowing that the law will have to be changed every 10 years?
Could other factors react to knowing that the law will
I guess I could just clarify. I guess what I'm saying is I could see that would be awesomely exogenous if no one knew that that change was coming. But if everybody knows that that the date is coming up, then could it be that people try to really get their license ahead of time, right before the law changes, or they try to that there's some kind of an endogenous reaction to knowing that date?
So there is like a small response right before 2012. You will see that in the data. Like there is more increase in 2011. But overall, people don't expect that much. I can't really find many discussion except for that report. So I would suspect like people just not quite aware of it until like 2010 or something. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of timing, is exogenous, but in terms of the content, it is not, right? Because like whether it is increasing or decreasing is still endogenous to the state conditions. So we still need to get the identification correct. So yeah. All right. So the challenges, what I'm going to do, first one, how to correctly or accurately measure employment. I'm going to look at administrative record as opposed to the household surveys like ACS or CPS, so that I can get an accurate count of inflow, outflow, and also the stock. Second, in terms of quality, I'm going to look at the change in worker characteristics, and the output quality, I'm going to measure it by the disciplinary cases. Basically, is the incidence of misconduct. Does that decrease? To get at the causal inference, I'm going to use synthetic control mostly. I may use diff and diff later in one subsection, but primarily I'm making use of synthetic control. Okay, so what I find, first of all, in terms of employment, the total stock, the policy reduces the employment by about 20% to 30%, so in between that. And what a coincidence, this number is quite similar to what I find before, and also Morris find in his paper. And interestingly, as you will see later, this drop is mainly driven by one-time exit of existing agents. So basically, there are some marginal agents just choose to leave. And I also observed after 2012, there are lower entry and also lower exit. And actually, it is corresponding to some of the discussion today about labor market dynamic. People are hard to get in, and also once they are in, they are less likely to leave. All right. So in terms of quality, in terms of the total number of misconduct, I don't find robust evidence. I find some slight decrease, but it is not statistically significant. But I do find in terms of worker quality or in terms of worker characteristics, agents with misconduct are more likely to not renew, or actually more likely to leave the market after 2012. Okay. So the main takeaway here is that, first of all, it reduces employment. And second, it does trimming down some of the people in the lower tail. But overall, we don't find the aggregate improvement that we're concerned about in terms of like quality. All right, so in terms of contribution, I don't find, I find little evidence on output quality, ensuring output quality. And also in terms of real estate licensing, I'm able to update that using newer data and also better identification. And in terms of employment effect, I'm one of the few that examine employment flow, and the most recent one is by the Mark in 2019, the BJIR article. So, all right. So here just a brief overview about what happens at that time. So for new entrants, you can think about this as a renaming exercise. Before the policy, the new entrants needs 45 hours, and it can get, then they can get salesperson licenses. And for the broker, it requires 120 hours, but salesperson need to work under the broker. But after the policy, they first of all eliminate salespersons, and all the newcomers have to get a broker license. And if you want to supervise what you do, you have to get managing broker, which have like a higher number of training hours. So this is the first change. The second change is about existing agents. So if you want to maintain your license, and if you are a salesperson only, you need to get extra 30 hours in order to update to broker license plus an exam. And if you are a broker, you want to stay as broker, that's fine. But if you want to supervise, you want to work independently, then you need to get 45 hours extra training and also an exam. Okay, so, and in terms of the data, what I'm going to use is the administrative record. Not all the state provide, and it is quite hard to get the feedback from the state regulatory bodies. And so now I'm able to collect the data from 7 states, including Illinois. And in the data, I have the universe of the real estate agents ever registered in the system. So it's very great. And I have the information on when they have the first issuance, when they expire, and also their address.
Bobby, just a quick question from
Yes.
Darwin. With the change in hours, was it 45 hours extra or 15 hours extra?
45. Am I?
I was just trying to tell.
45.
Yeah, so it's not just that you have to do 15 hours more compared to being a salesperson.
Sorry, Darwin, I can't hear you. Can you speak up?
Oh, sure. Sorry. So it's not just that you have to do 15 hours more to be independent. You actually have to do 75 total.
So if I hear you clearly and correctly, so if you are a salesperson, you get 30 hours. If you are a broker, then you need to get 45 hours to promote.
On top of the sales hours.
So I can't hear you clearly, sorry.
I think what she's asking, Bobby, is it 75 hours total, or is it just 15 more hours?
Oh, no. Okay, so here are two groups of people. Okay, so the first group of people, if you are a salesperson, if you want to choose to become a broker and you want to remain in it, and so you need to take the extra 30 hours. Okay, so this is the first group of people. The second group of people, if you are already a broker and you want to promote, then you need to take extra 45 hours. Is that clear? So there are two groups of people. Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying.
And Brad just made a point about the relative low amount of hours relative to barbers and the pay discrepancies.
Yeah, I mean, this is
between
like
two groups.
Yeah, I mean, this is like this is the thing. I mean, people just complain about like why we need to spend like 3 hours, I mean 3 years to get the tree trimmers licensing, right? I mean, this is just, I mean, a lot of variation here. So.
And one more question, Bobby. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Do you know if they also made changes to real estate instructor regulations? That's a question from Amelia.
This is a good question. I'm not aware of it, but it is. I'm not aware of it, but does that affect the analysis or something? Higher? Or actually, we can talk about it later, but I'm not aware of like the changes in the instructor regulation, though. Okay.
Yeah, feel free, Bobby.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. All right. So the main data is here. Okay. So here is decomposing decomposing the changes in Illinois. So what happened? You can focus on 2010 here. So basically, we have three categories: salesperson, broker, and leasing agents. So leasing agent is also under the Act, but the Act does not change the requirements. So I just focus on salesperson and broker in this analysis. So you can look at it. So before the change, there are about like 50,000 salesperson and like 30,000 brokers. After the Act, so you can see like the salesperson drops to 0 because they're no longer like a salesperson license. And where do they go? They may go to become a broker. So you can see an increase in the broker license here, or some of them just choose to leave. Okay. And for the broker, they may choose to remain as a broker, or they may choose to promote. And so you can see there are like 20,000 increase in managing broker. And the main takeaway here is that you see a loss of 50,000 salesperson here. At the same time, you see about like 30,000 increase in the number of managing broker and brokers licenses, but it cannot make up the loss of like the salesperson. So you may expect here it comes the employment effect. And this one, I am comparing Illinois with other states. In general, Illinois has a bigger real estate sector than other states. And clearly, you can see that after the grace period in 2012, there is a structural break compared to other states. All right, so identification, I'm going to use synthetic control. The basic idea is that I want to find a comparable control group that can mirror what would have happened for each Illinois county if the policy has not been made. So the predictor that I'm going to use to construct the synthetic control include the pre-treatment outcome, the state industry growth, the population size, the share of real estate employment tabulated from ACS, and also some other characteristics of real estate agents, including salary, education, race, and gender and stuff. Okay, all right. And in terms of treatment effect, I just directly compare the observed outcome in Illinois and the constructed outcome or the predicted outcome from the synthetic control. I just subtract that. I just look at the difference between them. And in terms of the statistical inference, I'm using permutation inference. Basically saying that I'm turning on a treatment to the control counties and obtain a distribution of placebo effect. So basically it is saying that I should see no effect for those control counties. And so I could have a distribution of like 0 effect here. And then I would compare the treatment effect with the placebo distribution. I'm going to reject it if the actual effect is distinctly different from the placebo distribution. So you will visually see what happens later. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So employment results. So first of all, here I want to show you how good the synthetic control is. The first panel, I include all the Illinois counties, and you can see that for the first column, it is the actual data. Okay. And the second column is the synthetic control, the average of the synthetic control. And the last column is the simple average of just other states. And you can see that many variables are very similar for the Illinois counties and the synthetic control counties, except for the population size here. And the main reason is because of Cook County, because Cook County is the second biggest county in the States. And so it is quite hard to find a comparison. So here, panel B, I want to show you that excluding Cook County, the balance is quite well. Okay, so it is so the SCM is quite doing some quite good job here. And this one is showing you visually how good it is. The left-hand side is just comparing the average of Illinois counties with the simple average of other states. And the right panel is showing you the average of Illinois counties with the synthetic control. So basically, the treatment difference drastically reduced. And here is showing you the treatment effect. And you can see that right after 2012, there is an apparent structural break here. And the employment effect is about -30% to 40%. And it is distinctly different from the placebo effect. So it is statistically significant. So you may worry about a small deviation here. Probably because Illinois is differentially affected by the recession. So what I'm going to do next is I just narrow the comparison to post-recession. So what happened is that I started from 2008, and actually the match is quite well. But the magnitude decreases a bit to 20% to 30%. Sorry, 20% to 40% here. And then when I further adjust it to just 2 years before, the effect is still robust, but it's more from 20% to 30%. Okay. So this is the total effect. So what about the flow? Okay, inflow and outflow. I think this is quite interesting. So the left-hand side is the inflow, the new license issuance. You can see that right after 2012, there is a decrease in the new issuance, and it is marginally significant if you look at this one. Okay, and the magnitude is about negative 20%. So for the expired licensees, you see a big jump here at about 60%. That's why I'm saying that the drop in the total employment you observe in the previous slide is mainly driven by the leavers. But then, interestingly, after that, there are less people leaving the profession. So my interpretation is that when people get in after fulfilling the new requirement, which is higher, they are more serious about their business, and so they are less likely. Which is like, again, correspond to a lot of the discussion today about labor market dynamics. Okay, so all right, I got, okay, this is 3:30. How many times left?
I have about 15 minutes, Bobby.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so this is the employment effect. So how about the quality effect? As I said, I have two measures. The first one is disciplinary action. So disciplinary action is just a punishment mechanism to discipline the agents who have committed misconduct. So this is quite a good measure to look at whether misconduct increase or decrease after the policy. And again, I'm able to look at 19 states because not all of the states provide necessary information. And also it is burdensome because some of the states require manual transcription. I need to look at each law document, so it is quite burdensome. Some of the disciplinary action is not related to misconduct, so I just dropped that. So I will show you what is it. Here's an example. So the first one is, I call it misconduct related. Okay, it is saying that the real estate agent failed to return the money, failed to meet the contract condition, and also listing the property with wrong information. So this is certainly harming consumers. All right, this one I don't count it. The second one I don't count it because it is just about like submitting document or just like continuous education requirements. So I don't count it. So other unrelated reasons include fail to pay tax, submit documents, things like that. I just drop those cases. So ultimately, I only focus on consumer-related cases. All right. So here just a snapshot about the sample states. Illinois is here, and then I have a bunch of like 18 other states. Okay, so the left-hand side, if you look at left-hand side, Illinois, you can see a big drop after 2012. And we may falsely think that, okay, the policy improved the quality. But actually it's not, because when you compare the average of others, it's very, very different. Okay, so this is where the synthetic control comes in. And as you see, once we have a better control group, actually the drop in like the misconduct is not that statistically significant. And the weights are here, including Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. These are the weights I assigned to construct this synthetic control. Okay, and all right. So here, just want to show you again the predictor balance under synthetic control method. Again, it's very good. I don't want to repeat that. And here I want to show you the treatment effect. Overlapping with the placebo distribution is not significant. Okay, so overall takeaway, no strong evidence on reducing misconduct. Okay.
Bobby, maybe I missed it, but
yep.
What would be the breakdown of the complaints that you identify as not being consumer related? So what fraction do you end up throwing away as not being consumer related?
Oh, I don't have it. I don't have it now. But I have it in my folder. So yeah,
Well,
thanks
please
for
keep that.
reminding me.
That will be of great interest to me.
Okay, so it's like comparing both, or
Yeah, just getting a sense of how the complaints are actually consumer related relative to
just
not
some
paying
random
a
stuff.
fee or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. All right, thank you. I will
Bobby,
add that
real
to the paper.
quick, I have a quick question.
Yeah,
I hope you can hear me. My internet's going out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Did
hear
you use? Okay. Did you use the state level data here and then the county level data for the other synthetic control, like the initial one?
Okay, yeah, yeah. All right,
Or did
so
you? Because you've got Illinois counties on one, and I saw a lot of placebo effects indicating that there had to be county level data, and that one looked like state level data, correct?
yes,
So why
yes,
didn't you
exactly.
stay consistent with the state level data with, because it seems like this is the treatment here is Illinois, right?
Yes.
So why wouldn't you just use Illinois as the treatment and use state level data throughout? I guess you get a lot more data there with the counties, but there's just a bunch of treated counties in Illinois, right?
So okay, so my response here. So first of all, I have the state level analysis for employment result here for all of that. So the result looks the same. But the main point here is that when I match state, we may have like, put it another way, is like matching at county level is better because like county, first of all, has more like numbers of placebo tests I can do. So it can like increase the power of tests. And the second one is that if you match it at the county level, it is better. Like comparison is like matching Cook County with some other small rural areas would be like invalid, but it would be included in the state level analysis. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a bit. But if you replicate these data like this particular result here using the state level data, you're going to get the same type
Same,
of
yeah,
okay,
same.
all right,
Yeah. But I just use this one because maybe I haven't explained it clearly. Just if you match using state, there are lots of like small differences that we may not take into account. Do you see what I mean? It's like comparing county is better than comparing states. That's what I'm saying.
Can I ask a follow-up question on Brian's comment then? So are you comparing like in this employment result? Then I guess I misunderstood. It's not a difference in difference, right? It's just a difference. We're looking at just before and after the vertical line.
So the vertical line here is just the difference between the synthetic control and the actual outcome.
But sorry, aren't they all treated here? They're just treated to a different. So the synthetic control is the synthetic control made up of counties within Illinois?
So okay, so the black dot here are the average of all the Illinois effects. I take all the average of like all the counties. And
sorry,
the blue,
what is the black line the difference between? It's the difference between I see. What's the treatment and what's the control? Yeah.
Okay, so for example, here are two states, Cook County and let's say Lake County, okay, and I just take the difference. I just take the average of their treatment effects comparing to their synthetic controls. Does that make sense?
I guess I'm just wondering, is this everything underlying this data? Is it all Illinois counties? This picture here?
No. So the black dot is the Illinois counties, the average of the Illinois counties, and the blue, the placebo distribution here are the other counties.
Non-Illinois counties.
Non-Illinois counties.
Okay.
So they are like placebo exercise.
But Bobby, these are the gaps, right? These are the projected gaps.
Yeah, this is
between what you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
is the
think about this as
difference.
an event study.
The difference.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
I can follow up more after.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So the last thing is about worker characteristics. And why I want to look at it, because some of the papers before have shown that worker quality imply potential quality improvement. So I want to look at it. And there are a couple of angles that I can look at, but I don't have data on new entrants. For example, exam score, the cells, that the home cells that they have, I don't have the data. So I can only focus on who left the markets. So to give a sense of who will leave the market, here is just a brief back of envelope calculation. So the cost would be license fees, renewal fee, plus the time cost of 2012 renewal, which is about $800 plus the training hours times the predicted hourly wages. And what I run here is just running a wage regression for all other occupations in Illinois. And then I put the average real estate agent characteristics to just get a sense of like what would have happened if they leave the real estate industry. So here's just a rough calculation, but just give you a sense of what kind of people will leave. And actually, it is way lower than the average wage. So here is about 3,000, but the average salary, annual salary is about like 50,000. So my hypothesis from this exercise here is that marginal workers are more likely to leave. So some top agents, they don't care, right? Because they're just like earning much more than $800. So they don't care about it, and they will stay. So in terms of empirical framework here, the sample I restricted to expired licensees in Illinois and Wisconsin from 2003 to 2016, all because of the data restriction. I just have all the information necessary in these two states. The variable, the characteristic I'm going to look at is the misconduct. And I think this is a good proxy for marginal agents for two reasons. First of all, it is related to some other dimensions of ability. And the second one is that the presence of misconduct records lowers the present value of staying. So basically, if an agent has misconduct record, they are less likely to get consumers because the record can be found online easily by the consumers. So what I'm going to look at in the regression is that the outcome variable is the indicator equals 1 if the agent who expire who live in time t has a misconduct record before time t. Okay, and then for sure there are treatment dummy and also some control variables, county and time fixed effects. The characteristics that I have in the administrative record include race, gender, years of experience, and their zip code. So I match with the census characteristics then. And also I control for annual number of leavers and the annual number of disciplinary record to avoid mechanical relationship. Okay, so so one more thing is that I'm going to introduce matching. Okay, so basically I'm going to match similar individuals based on observables. So here is how the matching does. I'm using entropy balancing, which is one of the type of propensity score weighting. And here you can see that without the matching, there are serious big gap between the observables, between the control group in Illinois and the control group in Wisconsin and the treated group in Illinois. But with the the matching, essentially the difference goes to 0. So basically, the balancing does a good job in balancing the observables. So here is showing you the result. The first 2 columns showing you the regression event study without matching. And you can first see that after 2012, the leavers in Illinois are more likely to have misconduct. Okay, so I collapsed it into 2 years because there was a grace period in Illinois in 2011, and so I just collapsed it to biannual analysis. Okay. However, when you look at the pre-trend, there was clear deviation right before the policy, so it is still like worrying. But with the entropy balancing with the matching, the deviation goes away, and actually the magnitude goes down by 10 times. So it is quite good for the pre-treatment matching. And for the post-treatment effect, it still remains robust. Like the leavers in Illinois after the policy are more likely to have misconduct. So basically, the marginal agents are more likely to leave after the policy. So conclusion remark here, it looks like the new requirement caused the loss of agents most likely at the margin. The increased requirement reduces both the entry and exit rates. And I don't find significant impact on the average quality. So here are 2 implications that I want to get at, or at least 2 message that we can learn from. The first one is that, hey, does input quality really perfectly related to output quality? Okay, if we really cared about licensing policy, we should expect that the worker quality is perfectly related, or actually reasonably related to consumer experience. But here I find that this is not the case. So my message is that licensing should be the least preferred if they're not, if input quality and output quality are not robustly related. So, and the second one is broadly related to the recession, the worker regulation in bad economy like this time. And I want to show is that small increase in the cost can elicit significant labor supply response, especially for marginal agents. So these are all that I find. And thank you for all your, thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Our next presenter is going to be Brad Larson, is going to be presenting his paper, Occupational Licensing and Quality, Distributional and Heterogeneous Effects in the Teaching Profession.
Great, thanks. Let me get the screen here.